Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Tuesday. We're on lesson number 23 of 28 of gratitude. So, my brain is still in recovery mode from this last weekend. So I'm just going to jump right in. No cars, no nothing. We're just going to go with the gratitude and move forward. Today I'll be working on tomorrow's self-care. It's an interesting one, and I think it'll be very beneficial to a lot of people. So I do hope you tune in for that. But let's see. Today's gratitude. Gratitude leads to greatness. It can literally turn what you have into more than enough, jobs into joy, chaos into order, uncertainty into clarity, and bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. Mark Chernoff. Again, gratitude leads to greatness. It can literally turn what you have into more than enough, jobs into joy, chaos into order, uncertainty into clarity, and bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. We talk about this all the time, and I think this is very, very self-explanatory since we do talk about this all the time, that when we have gratitude, everything becomes enough. You know, your home, your car, and all that, because you start to think about all the people that don't have these things. Homes, cars, jobs, clarity, when we get that clarity. And, again, so gratitude leads to greatness. Gratitude can lead to greatness because gratitude, I say this a lot, but I really mean it. Gratitude is everything. Gratitude, we talked about this a lot last week in the perspective about how just even saying thank you to somebody who opens a door for you is a huge thing. And not just saying thanks, but I mean actually meaning it. It could change your day, it could change their day. The next line, it can literally turn what you have into enough. And it really can turn everything that you have into enough. Again, your home, your car, your jobs, what you have in your bank. There's always going to be somebody who has less, and there was always going to be somebody who has more. That's why we need to stay in that gratitude. We need to be grateful for what we have around us, the people we have around us, the joys and the good times, even the bad times we should be grateful for, because a lot of times those lead us into the directions that, onto the paths that we need to go on. So, it can also turn jobs into joy, chaos into order, uncertainty into clarity, and bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. When you are finding yourself feeling kind of bleh, that's when you need to lean into gratitude. I mean, I'm grateful that I am doing this show right now because, to be honest with you, again, I wanted to cancel it because I cannot string two thoughts together. As you can see, I think this is going to be my worst day, to be honest with you, because it's like, older sibling and I were just talking about it. She says, most people say it takes 3 days to recover from whatever it is that you've just done. And my brain and my body was so out of Comic-Con shape. And I mean, just running back and forth, going from here to there, doing this and that. And just being back in a place that I love to be at so much that my mind is still kind of exploding, just going in 5 directions with these different things. But I'm grateful that I'm able to at least string a few thoughts together, because I really want to keep these on track, because I think it's important to keep this gratitude going. Yes, tomorrow is self-care. Yes, I'm actually working on the next series, which will be self-love, and it'll be a little bit more fun because it'll be more like exercises than it will be quotes and whatnot. However, I will be sharing a lot of my own personal stuff because a lot of the questions are personal, and I want to make sure that everybody gets something out of it, that you're not ashamed to ask yourself these questions, you're not afraid to ask yourself these questions. And those will actually be in order because they do lead up. So it's like 30 days, they do lead up, and we're going to use the same format: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday of the self-love, and Wednesday is self-care, and of course Friday is Oracle Friday, which is still a fun favorite of everybody's. But Let me read this again, okay? Gratitude leads to greatness. It can literally turn what you have into more than enough, jobs into joy, chaos into order, uncertainty into clarity, and bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. So, again, when you are feeling like you are just, blah, that's when we need to lean into gratitude. If you're looking at something that doesn't make you happy, be grateful for it. Oh, good morning, older sibling and baby sibling. But be grateful for it. Be grateful for it. And you're like, why should I be grateful for something I don't like? Because it's something that you have in that moment. If it's your job, then be grateful for it. Because it pays your bills. Because it puts food on your table. Because it does all these things. A lot of things. Plus you have the relationships. If you have really good friendship relationships there, co-worker relationships, then be grateful for that, because not everybody has that. Right? Not everybody has that. Not everybody has that gift of, getting along with their coworkers, or coworkers actually give a shit about who they are and what they're doing and this, that, and the other. That makes for a fun office environment. It makes for not just coming in, pushing papers, stapling things, and going home. It makes for a nice, energy in that place. If you're feeling chaotic, find gratitude. Look around you. I'm grateful for my pen, my paper, my journals, my books, my computer, my phone, whatever it is. That will help you because a lot of times chaos comes from in here. Okay, it's not being able to just sit down and lean into the patience and the quiet. A lot of times we just feed into the chaos and try to push right through it, instead of trying to figure out what's causing it and trying to calm it down so that we can find that clarity. And in fact, that's the next one, uncertainty into clarity. When we stop and think, or we stop and take a step back to be able to look in, that it really does make a difference. It really does make a difference. I mean, have you ever had one of those days where you're just blah? Like right now, I just want to take a deep breath, take a step back and go like, you know what? This is not my best perspective. It's not even close to being my best perspective. I mean, I can't get my hair to do whatever I want. I have no idea. I just threw something on to do this. But I'm grateful for the energy to do it. I'm grateful for what little I got in there saying, okay, just try this word, try that word. This will probably be the shortest perspective that we've had in a long time. Because, again, I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to say, okay, well, you know what, we'll do it tomorrow. Because it had nothing to do with more than me being worried about not being able to put thoughts together. And so I'm really leaning in on that gratitude. I'm really feeling grateful for all these things. So I'm going to read this one last time. And then, yes, I know, like I said, shortest perspective ever in a long time. Gratitude leads to greatness. It can literally turn what you have into more than enough, jobs into joy, chaos into order, uncertainty into clarity, and bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. Mark Chernoff. So thank you, baby sibling. Baby sibling thinks I'm doing great. That makes one of us. And no, I'm not trying to be self-deprecating. My mind is literally, guys, I mean, let me put it this way. Okay, I'm going to go sideways for a second, because I think I thought about talking about it yesterday and I never did. And so I think, I'm not sure if I said I would talk about it today or if I just thought it in my head yesterday while I was doing the perspective. But on my way home, and I know I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, on my way home Sunday, from Comic-Con, I was having epiphanies all weekend, which is actually why, because usually I recover a lot faster than I normally do. I mean, it's not my first Comic-Con where I've been out of physical shape, but usually mentally I recover a lot faster. But I had a lot of epiphanies this weekend. There were a lot of different triggers that were out there, a lot of things that were really kind of prompting me to think about certain things, about, what's important, what's not important, how to handle a situation when things don't go your way, all these different things. And probably about 10 minutes from home, I suddenly had this really kind of not an, and you know what? It probably isn't an epiphany or an aha moment. It was more like a come to Jesus moment where I really had to face what I needed to face because I was getting close to home. I wasn't able to live in this little world that I was in for 5 days being away from home. And I realized that a lot of times in previous perspectives, for those who've seen other ones, um, I've talked about this empty feeling that I've had inside. And I thought maybe it was a reset. I thought maybe it's like, oh, okay, I've healed all this trauma. So thank you, older sibling. She says, don't judge yourself, just be yourself. I am. I'm doing my best to do that. I'm just really, honestly, I'm trying to string thoughts together here. But I think maybe where a lot of the stumbling through this perspective is coming from is because I made a big discovery. And it's not even a discovery. It was more, you saw the eye roll there. I'm trying to figure out how to put this. And I really think the come to Jesus thought was probably the best one I could do because I really had to just put the mirror up to my face and say, you know what? Look in the fucking mirror and just be honest with yourself. Just be honest with yourself. So going back to what I was just saying about having that empty feeling inside and, but feeling like there was this anchor inside of me that was still stuck in the sea of misery while I'm trying to sail off into the ocean of bliss, right? Again, I thought maybe it was because I'd gone through all this stuff. And it's like now I was in a place where I wasn't totally focused on the bad things that happened to me. Still dealing with some triggers. I'm still dealing with some dissociative behavior on my part. Nothing that is, overwhelmingly bad. And I'm grateful for that. There's gratitude. See, I'm grateful for that. But on the way home, and I really kind of felt this pulse in one of the last panels we were in on Sunday. And I literally I just heard this voice saying, it's going to be okay now. You can stop worrying. And I was thinking about that on the way home. And I finally, older sibling and I were on our way home and I'm like, you know what? I just need to say something. And I could feel all these emotions coming up. I could feel it just rising. And I had to take a beat for a second because I was trying not to cry because I'm driving. I'm the one driving and I'm trying not to cry. And I told her, I said, and I might get emotional here. So if I do, just please bear with me. I told her, I said, when I healed my trauma, here it comes. Can you hear it? I said, when I healed my trauma and all the stuff that had happened to me and kind of got a better idea of how to deal with triggers and handle them and how to kind of push through dissociative behavior and whatnot to be more present in my life, I said, I thought my depression would go away. I really thought it was all trauma-based. And I was hoping it was trauma-based. Because I've heard of people going into remission from their depression. I've heard of people, conquering it and moving past it. And I will advocate for the rest of my life, whether this ever goes into remission or not. But I told her, I said, I realize now I'm one of those people that has to be on meds. Now, truth be told, I haven't been on my meds for about 3 or 4 months. Because I really wanted to see if I could live my life without them. But during my time at Comic-Con, every time something fun or interesting would happen, I would just get this overwhelming sense of like this joy that would happen that I would almost be brought to tears. I mean, we were, I admit, listening to live music like symphonies and orchestras, they really do evoke a lot of feelings from me. And because it really touches you in the soul. And we had the opportunity on Thursday to see a live orchestra before the Lord of the Rings panel. Bear McCreary was the composer and conductor. And it was just like, I just felt this. And it almost seemed to be what triggered everything else that happened that weekend. And it was so nice to feel something. And then it would be gone. You know, it's just like, woo, and then, oh. It's like, you know, you just go really high and then you bottom out. And it was hard to find that feeling again. And I think that's finally what triggered this conversation I had with the older sibling on Sunday. Because I realize now that my depression is a chemical imbalance. I don't know how long it's been there. I know that depression does run in both sides of my family, so it's very possible that it's hereditary. And I couldn't think of the metaphor at the time, but when I journaled this, it finally came out. And so I'm going to tell you what I came up with later, and I actually did tell her the metaphor I was trying to find when I was talking about this. I told her, I said, you know, when I lifted the layer, when I removed that layer of trauma from my depression, I thought it would be better. But now I literally can see the forest through the trees. And you know, I mean, that's an old saying, being able to see the forest through the trees, being able to see what's there without just seeing the trees. And I realized that this is a part of my life. And so I also think that's kind of what's draining me, excuse me, because it's something I've mentally been dealing with the last couple of days, because I am the one person that stigmatizes myself the most. I advocate, I talk about how mental health matters. People with mental health, the majority of people often get thrown under the bus and often don't have people who are patient enough with them to help see them through sometimes these dark times. It takes a very special person to really kind of, you know, buckle down and be a friend. And it's not easy. It takes a very special person to go through this, because it's not easy. See, a lot of people think that it's a weak mind. Oh no, you'd be surprised. It takes so much energy sometimes and so much thought processing to get through these things, you know, because sometimes the easy way out does feel like taking your own life. And I'm sorry if that triggers anyone. I don't mean to. But a lot of people say, well, they were just weak, that's why they did it. No, they were just tired. The majority of people that do that, they're just tired. They got nothing left in the tank, nothing left to push through. Or, you know, I mean, I don't know, because it's such a personal choice, what everybody's choices are. And so I should be honest when I say that I speak from my own perspective. In those times when I've come that close, not that close, that close to doing it, to being gone, it's because I had nothing left. I was so tired. My brain just was out. It was kaput. I have nothing. I had no gas in the tank, and I was literally coasting on fumes. And then somehow you find somebody who cares enough, or you get that wonderful divine intervention that just pops in and says, nope, it's not your time yet. Sorry. You know, we stigmatize people who do commit the ultimate act. But we shouldn't, because you don't know what's going on in their head. Okay, but for me, I made a promise, so that's not an option. And I did not make that promise to me. I made it to somebody else, and I made it to somebody younger than me as well, so that, you know, because I had to have all my bases covered. I have to have all my bases covered. But all in all, this is one of the reasons why I've done gratitude, because I truly believe, even though now we're on lesson number 23 of gratitude, I truly believe that it's this gratitude that has led me to the self-realization that I've been ignoring. You know, I need a job so I can get back on health insurance, or just some kind of flow of money to come in so I can have health insurance. But I did have some of my pills left, so I'm very grateful for that. And I got myself back on them, intending to make sure that in the next 30-something days that everything changes. And it's very possible that the one last obstacle I had, the one last true obstacle I had that's been holding me back from being this limitless human being, is the fact that I have not wanted to come to terms with the fact that depression is a part of my life. I know I've said it in the past. I know I've said that it's a part of me. It's something I got to nurture. But over the last year, I had really hoped that as I healed all this trauma, as I moved through the triggers and I was going through it to grow through it and feeling it to heal it, that I was wrong. But I wasn't. This is my life. It's not always easy to think about. It's not the one thing that I would really like to grab onto and hold on to. I don't know anybody that does. It's not something I choose to wield as a sword either, because that's just inappropriate in so many ways. You know, if you have a dinged up mental health and you use it as a weapon, you need therapy. And forgive me for saying that, because I know that sounds terrible, but you do. Because going through this is not so people will feel sorry for us. I share my story because I need people who don't have this problem to understand what we go through. And for all intents and purposes, I have a generalized diagnosis. There are more people with major depressive disorder than there are with the ones who fall under several spokes of this mental health umbrella. And those are the ones I fight for. I mean, I fight for the ones like me who, you know, have that dinged up mental health, but we have a little bit more of a grasp and, you know, on our footing and that balance. But not everybody has that option. Not everybody has that strength. And I see these people that make it through every day and I think, wow, you were an amazing human being because you're still here. You're still here. People that self-harm, they often worry about, oh God, what are people going to think when they see my scars? You know what? I used to worry about that, but I have to admit, I've had a bit of a leg up. Okay. My self-harming caused more bruises, and this is when I was a lot younger. It caused more bruises than anything. I was too, I'm too afraid of sharp things to self-harm in those ways, but I would often bang my arm against things, and I didn't understand it back then. We didn't have a term called self-harm when I was, you know, or in my late teens, early 20s. At least not that I know of. But my mental health was stigmatized when I was younger. So, you know, and I don't place blame. There are different generations that grow up with different thought processes, and I think a lot of times when we're stigmatized by people that love us and care about us, it's because they're afraid. And I know that my mom stigmatized me, not intentionally, but because she was afraid. She had a family member that took their own life. You know, and I think she was all, and I think that's why I was always afraid to lean into, you know, learning about my mental health, because I always associated with that. If you have mental health problems, this is what's going to happen. It's not what's going to happen. We have every right and we have every strength to live a normal life. Some days it's just so much harder. And some people, they don't get that option. They struggle every day. You know, it's like, you know, there's just like, instead of the angel and the demon on their shoulders, they just got two demons on their shoulders going, oh, and just fighting and fighting until somebody steps in and says, hey, if they're not going to show up on your shoulders, I will show up for you. And I've had people show up for me. You know, baby sibling's been there, older sibling. I was talking to older sibling yesterday, and I told her, if it was not for you, I would be dead. I would probably be dead. I have a fear of pain, you know. I mean, I deal with it, but, you know, not my favorite thing, and sharp things. But, or I told her I would still be the person I used to be, which wasn't the greatest person. Wasn't a bad person. I've always tried to be kind. I've always tried to be a good person. But when pain comes up, sometimes it just comes up like just this horrible icky vomit, you know, and it shoots at whoever's standing in front of them, because it's anger, it's pain. And when it goes unchecked and you push it down, it literally explodes like a volcano. You know, and so I was telling older sibling that I said, she never gave up on me. And I fought her and fought her and fought her. It took her 14 years. 14 years to talk me into going into therapy. Again, because my last therapy experience was useless. 14 years. And she didn't push me. She didn't, pummel me with, you need to go, you need to go. She just was patient. She was patient. And then in 2017, I lost a very good friend to, well, what we were just talking about. I was a very good friend to that. And older sibling was like, maybe you should consider it again. And at this point, I was already thinking about it. Then baby sibling was like, have you ever thought of, and she suggested therapy. And then a third friend came along, and I figured, if all these people, and this was all on the same day, guys. I was literally having the worst day of my life, laying in bed. I wouldn't even leave my room. And it felt like every half an hour, I got a text from a sibling who was just downstairs because we're roommates. She hadn't seen me all day. Her room was across the hall. I hadn't come out. I had water. So I was not leaving. And, she didn't want to call me, or she tried, but I didn't answer. And then, baby sibling called. I didn't answer, but they both texted, and they both said the same thing. And then my friend, he was like, after his mom had passed away, he had gone to therapy and thought, maybe this will help you. I'm not sure, blah, 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 but it's helped me a lot. And they texted because they were all aware of what had happened at work and, with my friend and my coworker. And, they suggested, maybe at least think about it. And I figured 3 people within an hour and a half had all said the same thing. It's like, that's a sign. And so I resolved that in my mind that this is what was going to happen. Best experience I ever had in my life. 6 months of intensive therapy. But it was intensive for me because I just let it all out. I let it all spill out. And fortunately at the time, I found that I was becoming too dependent on it. Like I wasn't dealing with my problems in real time. I was just kind of waiting for therapy to happen so that I could go in and, share there. And so I decided, no, I need to be done for a while. But, and at the same time, my insurance was like, yeah, you're done anyway. So it's a good thing that it happened the way it happened. But this is also my thing. This is one of the things that I truly want to make my life purpose, is advocating for better mental health care. Everybody's always placing a lot of these mass shootings on mental health, and it probably is. But I also don't want people like myself to get clumped in with people who just go off the rails. Sometimes people have such underlying issues, they go off the rails and no one even saw it coming. Some people with underlying heart issues, right? It's like, oh, they were doing great, and the next day they're dead because they didn't know. That's why we have to take care of ourselves. I'm just going to say it out loud. I do not respect insurance companies very much for this reason. Because they decide how much everybody gets. They decide how much care everybody gets. And when it comes to mental health, they decide when you're done. This is why people end up back on the streets. Okay? Sibling and I watched a great documentary a few months ago about homeless people in LA. And they went through the whole process. They're basically given 3 months of free housing or a free bed, basically, in a homeless shelter, and 3 months of mandatory therapy. Now, a lot of people that are homeless are a lot of times it is mental health. Now, I don't know all their reasons, but the ones that they covered, it was kind of that idea. And one of the reasons they stay in these communities is because they all understand each other. But they're given 3 months. The first time I went to therapy, it took me 3 months just to start opening up. Okay? Now these people are given 3 months. What if they're not ready? sometimes trauma is so horrible and so bad that it takes time for people to learn to trust who they're talking to. And if you've been out on the streets and you've had to kind of fend for yourself, your trust is probably buried deep, deep, deep. So I think we have to do better. Now, I'm not making excuses for homeless people. I don't know what their situation is. I don't. But I know the mental health aspect of it. The reason my therapy took 6 months was because I asked older sibling to go in with me on my intake day. But I immediately felt the vibe of this therapist and knew we were going to get on gangbusters. And I knew that because stuff started spilling out of me. You know, and it didn't really spill out when I was in my first process to get to a therapist through my insurance. I had to be processed first to find out what direction they needed to send me in. And so when they finally found someone for me, I knew. The very first time I was in therapy, like real therapy, I did not jive with this person, but I also didn't realize that, oh, I should have, but I was young. I was in my early 20s at the time, and I didn't consider the fact, or my mid 20s, sorry, that I could just find somebody else. Instead, I just left. I'm like, what the fuck's the point? They asked the same questions. It was like talking to a therapist on TV, right? Like in a TV show. Like, you know, how does it make you feel? Well, it makes me feel fucking stupid. That's why I'm here. How about giving me some tools that I can use to trust you? And that's what my therapist Kim did. And like I've mentioned in the past, she told me, this is just intake to make sure that, you know, we get along. She's all, I do want to take you on as a patient. We're fine. But she's all, I'm going to set you up for an appointment on Friday. I saw her on a Wednesday because she's all, it sounds like you're ready to go. And I'm like, I feel like a sprinkler. Everything's just ready to come out. Like someone's kinked that hose and is ready to let it go. And on that first day, after I left, I started to feel better. My eyes were puffy from crying. My heart was hurting from everything I was saying. But it felt good. And that's what we need to do for everybody. We need to show people that there is a way. That's why I'm doing the gratitude. That might have been the long way around, but that's why I'm doing the gratitude. Because when I opened up to Sibling on Sunday and I told her how angry I was that my depression was real depression, not just trauma-related depression, I was fucking pissed. I was angry. But I'm tired of not being able to feel anything. I want to feel something. I don't want this hole inside of me anymore. Now, on a side note, I did have a victory. I actually had Carl's Jr. I'm going to name it now because that used to be one of the things that was kryptonite for me in my emotional eating. I had it on the way home on Sunday just because I wanted a burger and I was hungry. And I knew then that I had a handle on my emotional eating because I still have this void in front of me. I have no desire to emotionally eat. But not only that, I had a dream last night where I wanted it. And I'm like, you just had this like 2 days ago. I'm literally telling myself in my head, in my dream, you just had this 2 days ago. No, that's not an option. This was a dream. In my dream, I had control of my emotional eating as well. So I am excited about that. And I think part of it is because I finally had to admit that my depression is actual depression. I think, like I said, I had come to terms with it once before, and it was very hard because I kept trying to find ways, oh, well, I'll nurture it. It's like a child. It's like your inner child. You got to make it happy. You got to do this and that. But like I said, when I started journaling, you know, in the floof books, my inner floof is what I call my inner child. When I started healing the inner floof, I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'm free of this. Maybe I'm free of this dinged up mental health. And I am not. I am not. And you're probably wondering why I'm smiling, but it's because within less than 24 hours, I had been okay with it. I decided, what am I going to do? Am I going to be angry about it? Am I going to be sad about it? Or am I just going to, grab the bull by its horns and deal with it? Do what I have to do to make it, manageable every day. And if I have to work a little harder to do that, then I'm grateful that I'm still here to be able to do that. And, I know I talked up older sibling a lot, and, baby sibling was there a lot too, especially after my mom died. The two of them were like, they would tag team me, not even intentionally. They would tag team me. Baby sibling hung in there, even when there were times when I was like a runaway roller coaster car or a runaway train, when I felt like I was being shot out of cannons. And, she would sit there and say, it's okay. She gave me a lot of insight into my personal life, a lot of insight into my future, and things that really, at the time I thought were told to me so that I wouldn't freeze up and be afraid. But as I'm talking now, I realize the reason she was able to gift me with some of these future things that are going to happen in my life, the people that are going to enter my life, is so I would have something to fight for. And I realize that now, sorry. It gave me something to look forward to. Something to fight for. And I will say this. All of her premonitions, even though we can never pinpoint a date on them, damn it, every single one she's ever had has come true. Or she's managed to shift it into a different direction so that, if it's bad, it won't happen. But, kind of that crossroads kind of premonition. But all the premonitions she's had that have been good for people, and sometimes not the not so good ones, they've all happened. So I know I trust her. She's had her own premonitions in her life that have broken her heart. And, I need to be better so I can be more present for the people I care about. The way they've been there for me when I have felt lost and chaotic. But that is your big breaking news there. That's the breaking news, is that I always thought that these things were given to me, and I used to get angry. It's like, well, it hasn't happened yet. Are you sure? Blah, blah. But now I realize that there's something, it's something waiting there for me to fight for it. To be better in my head and get it all under control so that I can allow these things to enter my life, because it is worth fighting for. There are some very specific things that she's told me that are very worth fighting for. A little exciting too. But yeah, so I thought this was going to be a little shorter than it was. But that's gratitude. Yeah, we took a big trip around Disneyland, right, on the train, to get there, but that's what gratitude has done for me. The first line in this, gratitude leads to greatness. It may not happen like that, but it does. If you trust it and you believe it, it can literally turn what you have into more than enough. I was grateful for opening up, and now I realize that some of the things that have been told to me was to give me something to fight for, and that makes it more than enough. It can turn jobs into joy. Be grateful. Be grateful for the people around you. Be grateful that you have somewhere to go every day. And if it's a job you truly love, be grateful for that too. And just as a side note, stick up for yourself. If a position opens up and you think you're qualified for it, go for it. Other people may say, well, I don't know. And they may tell you that, no, sorry, we don't want you in that position. But that doesn't mean you can't find it somewhere else. Just stay in your job, okay? Never quit your job until you have another one. All right? That's probably not the best advice, but it's also not the worst advice, because you still have adult responsibilities. Gratitude can turn chaos into order. It's done that for me. I process things a lot easier and a lot better now because I just trust the message. Did I like the message I got and finally had to come to terms with on Sunday? No, I did not. Like I said, I had always hoped that my depression was trauma-related, trauma-based, but it wasn't. It's just straight up my brain. And it can bring uncertainty into clarity. take a step back, take a deep breath, be grateful that you have this moment, and it can bring peace to an otherwise chaotic day. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and be grateful. Be grateful. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for hanging in there today. I'll be back tomorrow, Self-Care Wednesday. I have a topic. I do have a topic, but now I have 2 topics, so I have to decide which one I want to go with. But at the moment, I have a topic. So, actually, I have 3 topics because I forgot about that one. I know. We may do that one tomorrow. I think we might go with that one tomorrow because I think that one's going to be very important, and save the other 2 for the next 2 Wednesdays. But it is Self-Care Wednesday tomorrow, so I hope to see you there. 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time under Shelly Marie Lucas. All Facebook Lives are public, so anybody can watch them, or I upload them afterwards to YouTube under the Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much again for hanging in there. Thank you again to older and baby sibling, older and baby sibling, for never giving up on me. And again, I hope everybody has a great, great day.